Thank you.
You hear me? I didn't even know if I was.
Yes, we could hear
Okay.
you. Alice has done a lot this last year in helping her husband, her non-member husband's family, find out about their family using FamilySearch. So that's been fun for me to watch her excitement as she helps them find family photos and memories and information about that family. Eric, tell us a little bit about your experience with FamilySearch so I kind of know how to aim this lesson tonight.
So unfortunately, not a lot. My family records go back to Cuba, and so it's been, well, very not productive getting any kind of family records. But I'd still like to learn as much as I can about the process because we're working on setting up that program and calling new people to that calling in the wills, trying to get as much info as we can.
Good, good. And you want everything in order so that when records are available from Cuba, you've already got the foundation laid.
Absolutely.
Good. Michelle Reyes, what can you tell us about your experience with FamilySearch?
We have a lot of action going on with all the kids. That's why I'm muted and no video. I have been wanting to do it for so long. I am kind of like Eric. There's a lot of difficulty with finding records, but there is work to be done. On my mother's father's side, sorry, my mother's side, there's probably work that can be done. On my father's side, I don't even know who my grandparents are. So that one is really, really difficult. But I just thought I would try to do something. I've just felt the need to participate in family history since we can't go to the temple. And I just thought this is the way I can still do, like temple worship in a way by prepping for when it is opened again.
Good, good. John, do you want to take a minute or half of a minute and tell us what your experience with FamilySearch is? I'm kind of having everybody do that so I know where to aim my lesson. And even though I kind of already know your situation, why don't you tell the rest of us?
Well, I've been doing, for the last many years, been doing research for my wife's family. She's Latino, so I've been dealing in Mexican and Southern Texan genealogy for a long time. And she passed away about a year ago. And since then, I've had incredible direction and guidance from her. And I have a problem in that I don't read Spanish. I don't speak Spanish hardly at all. I speak Chinese, but that doesn't help me at all. But so I spend a lot of my time looking for new things and finding new things. I had an interesting time this past couple days. About Christmas time, I found a brand new ordinance way back in the 1600s. And I've just been going through hundreds of baptisms trying to find something that I could relate to. And suddenly I could read this one ordinance and found out that it was one of the ones I was looking for. So I put it aside, didn't record it. I recorded where it was, but didn't do anything from there. But I at that time I could read the whole thing. But when I tried to go back in the other day, I found I couldn't read anything.
And you're talking about maybe the Catholic Church records that were kept by the local priest, those baptisms?
Yeah. And so when I was looking before, I guess I had the Spirit. This time I could not read it again, and I had to seek help from some master at reading the ordinances at that period of time. But it told me that when the Spirit's helping you, you need to take note and record it and get it down so that you'll be able to use it, because you're getting the help then to take the action then, rather than just sit on it a couple of years and waiting. But I just waited a couple of months, but it was interesting experience.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So we probably come then from all different areas of expertise. If I'm teaching too simply for everybody, tell me, go ahead and raise your hand or interrupt me and say, we don't need that much basics, Nancy. And if I'm too advanced, say, don't forget to tell me the details on what you just did, okay? I have 3 things I want to talk about, but I'm going to postpone them until 5 minutes before 8. So at 5 minutes before 8, I'm going to try to wrap up and tell you about 3 exciting new things that are just relatively new finds in things that we can do as in family history.
Nancy, we don't have a chat, do we?
You mean put in the chat? If somebody will monitor the chat for me, you can do that. Diane, can you monitor the chat, and when somebody puts something, interrupt me and tell me, so that I don't have to watch it all the time? Okay. Usually we have ended up without doing very much with chat.
Okay.
But
okay.
I also don't mind you unmuting yourself and saying something.
Okay.
I don't mind that. But I'm going to do sharing screen a lot. And when the screen is shared, I won't see your faces as much. So, and I'm going to start that right now. Because since family history is mostly because we're talking about FamilySearch. So this is my computer screen, the way it looked when I just opened it up. And what I wanted to show you first is that I have gone to the bookmark bar part of my opening Google screen, and I have clicked on FamilySearch, and then I have saved it as with a star. I have saved it as a site that is listed on my bar going across here. So when I want to do family history, I don't have to type in FamilySearch.org. I just click on that line on my bar, and it goes immediately to my family history, to FamilySearch.org, part of my family history. And when I signed in, I clicked the stay signed in for 2 weeks. And so I usually don't have to re-sign in. When I open it up, it's right on this page for me. And this page is the good beginning introduction page. The first thing it's going to show here is some announcements, and it's going to give me a list of family that have things that I could do right now in family history related to what somebody else has already done, or else to what the computer algorithms have figured out that might apply to me. There's also a list here of memories that people have added to my ancestries, so that I have something to look at. And that's always fun to start with. But I realized recently how this line right here is so very important that it really kind of is a starting point for about anything in family history we want to do. If we click on the green family search, we're going to end up with the same page that's showing now. If I click on family tree, and so I guess here I stop and introduce what is the family tree on FamilySearch. FamilySearch has 2 main parts, and then maybe I'm going to say instead of just 2, really maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. But maybe essentially it has two main parts, the family tree part and the searching part. And the family tree is a one world pedigree chart. What that means is that, and this is the strength of FamilySearch, and it's also the weakness of FamilySearch. And that is that everybody who has been entered into FamilySearch is listed in the family tree. And anybody can see everybody that's there as long as they're deceased. So when I'm doing family tree, when I've done family tree, anybody else can look at the people that I've entered. And if they find something else out about that person, they can add to it. And if they don't like what I put in, they can take it out. And so the advantage is that we can all make connections with everybody else. And the disadvantage is that sometimes we don't agree on what's put in for one reason or another. And because of the strength of FamilySearch, we have to put up with that weakness and learn how to deal with it. Searching is how we search records that are available at FamilySearch. The Family History Library in Salt Lake used to just be crammed and crammed and crammed with books and microfilm. Nowadays, those are being bit by bit microfilmed and, when we're lucky, indexed and put on the FamilySearch website. So we can search billions of records through the search tab here. Memories is how we add pictures. And yes, Michelle.
I just have a question about those corrections that might be made by someone else. Is that correct or change, I should say, on your tree? Like, let's just say I added a great, great, great grandfather and someone else is like, oh, nope, that's the wrong name. And they correct it. Does it just, like, how do they regulate that?
The disadvantage is it takes it off of your tree too.
Oh, wow.
But you can put it back on. and you can contact them and say, why did you think this? Because it doesn't agree with the information that I have. Or you can say, oh, I have information you don't have. Let me share it with you. And there are two things then that you're going to want to do. And one is you're going to want to put a star, a black star on that person's page, on any of your family's page that you're interested in, so that if anybody else does change something, you find out about it. You will get an email every week telling you any changes that anybody has made to any people that you have a star marked. And the other thing that you can do, if there's really an argument, is there's a place on their page that you can make a discussion, so that you can say, oh, people think this, but my research shows such and such, which proves that such and such would be the real answer. So we have to communicate and cooperate in order to make it work. But there are lots of times that this is really interesting. An example is census pages on my one ancestor got mixed out of order. And so all the children at the top of the next page, according to some researchers, have been his children. So William S. Michael shows up with these two kids that don't belong to him. And it's because the census pages got out of order, and somebody saw that the next page, he was at the bottom of one page, and so the children at the top of the next page must be his. And so I had to both send them a note telling them why they were wrong, and then I had to put an explanation sometimes these kids have been thought to be belonging to William S. Michael, but they're not his, and this is the proof. So it means that we have to cooperate and communicate more, but it's still doable. Now, if that weren't the case and they had found 2 extra children, wouldn't I be happy? So we do want to communicate and cooperate, but we do have to do it.
Nancy, could I ask something?
Uh-huh.
I thought up in the upper right of the screen, when you're on that individual's page, where it says follow, if you click follow, won't that notify you if somebody's changed something?
Yeah.
So I think I have to find somebody that is already deceased, so let me
That's
choose.
what I've been doing. I've been clicking follow, thinking that I'll be notified, but anyway.
Okay, so here's my mother's page,
Yeah,
and
so
here
that's
is,
the black star following. Okay,
here's the following. Okay,
I didn't see it.
now,
That's the same thing.
this is a good time to back up. Well, so if I haven't finished covering this properly in 5 minutes, get my attention again. So I was showing that Family Tree has Family Tree, Search, Memories, Indexing, Activities, and Temple. Now I'm going to come over here and show you that after I have signed in, my name shows up here. If I click on my name and then choose Settings, then I get information. I can either choose Account, Notifications, or Permissions. And so I'm going to want to know about this for several reasons. One is anytime I make a change, it's going to call me Nancy Hugo because that's my contact name, my display name. And then it is going to give me the chance to show them that I'm LDS and I want temple information. If I was sharing my site, my information with a non-member relative, I would unclick that show temple information just out of kindness to them, to not make them concerned that I'm trying to baptize their relatives. Then the next thing, the next tab on this page is notifications. And under notifications, it is going to give me a chance to turn things on. One of the things that it says, do I want to receive messages? Yes. I want to receive messages when somebody else has done temple work on my line. I want to receive information from FamilySearch that tells me when somebody has changed somebody on one of my starred pages. I want to receive a text message when somebody is trying to reach me through FamilySearch. These are all up to each of us, but we should each choose. We should each choose the ones that we want. And if we want to receive, there we go. If we want to receive this kind of information from other people, then we are going to make sure that this part of our account setup is here. So that is what I will do to make sure that I receive information that somebody has changed someone. And Alice, for example, has had to go to the place where it says account information, and when she's dealing with her non-member relatives, then she unclicks the show LDS data so that it doesn't show for them. Now, when they sign up for FamilySearch, because they are not members of the church, they automatically cannot see any temple data. But when she's showing them her data, like if she takes her computer to their house and is showing them, she's going to want to have that clicked before she shows it to them.
So somebody that, Nancy, somebody that just jumps onto FamilySearch as, is cruising through the records, they're going to be able to see our temple records?
Not unless they're a member of the church and they have on their preferences here, show temple information.
Okay, so
that information is confidential to members of the church.
So you're talking about if we want to share our tree to somebody else and let them see what we're doing, then we click that off, right?
If we want them to see it, we click it. We click with the click on. If we don't want them to see the temple information, we click it off.
Right. Okay.
But it's only if you have your computer you're showing them with your computer. If you're like my sister-in-law has got her own FamilySearch page. I helped her sign up.
Yeah.
She automatically doesn't see it.
Because she is not LDS. Members and non-members may join FamilySearch. So non-members do not automatically see our temple information. That is not available to them. But I want to see it unless I'm showing it to a non-member relative. Okay, so I just want to briefly mention that there's an app for it. You know, there used to be a commercial on TV when phones first started being used, and they said, oh, there's an app for that, and there's an app for that. Well, there is an app for FamilySearch, and it is good to have it on our phones. I find I use mine a lot. I don't do research on mine, but I look up my great aunt's birthday, and I do a lot of work on my app. So go ahead and go to your computer store, and get your app and put the app on your phone. Now I'm going to come back to, I'm going to first, I guess, do I need to check out of settings? I can do that by up here. Okay. Nope, that didn't do it at all. So in FamilySearch, in the olden days, we used pedigree charts and family group sheets, and that was how we kept track of our family. And we still use pedigree charts and family group sheets, and then in between the two, we have pages for each person in our tree. So if I go to Family Tree and I choose Tree, then here is my pedigree chart. And I have lots of different ways I can view it. And this view is called Landscape. And if I do the minus button, then it gets to be just a little bit smaller. But you can't see it as good and I can't see it as good. But it only has this many generations. To have more generations, I click on the button at the end and it adds the rest of the generations. And I can usually only see one of those generations at a time. So if I'm clicking on my mom's side, I'm just going to see my mom. If I'm clicking on my dad's side, I'm just going to see my dad. And so this view is called the landscape view, but often we're also going to like the rest of these views. Portrait view is just going to be which of our ancestors have pictures, and we could print out a family tree just of pictures, which is sometimes kind of fun to do. One that we use a lot nowadays is the fan chart. And the fan chart is going to show our ancestors this way. And a fun thing about this is that all of my mother's mothers is yellow and my mother's fathers is red and so on. And so that's kind of fun to see that way. I can also get a quick view because I can do 7 generations. I can get a quick view of where I haven't done research yet so that I can say, oh, that's probably some of the ones I ought to think about next. Another view we can use with our fan chart is birth country. And this is going to show us where our ancestors were born according to their birth date, their birthplace. So I can tell by looking at this, all the blue are my ancestors that were born in the United States. Red and peach are ones that are born in the British Isles. These are the ones that were born in Denmark. These I think are ones who were born in colonial America. So I can see where different members of my family were born. Now you can pay $100 and have Ancestry tell you the same information by DNA. This is instead information by birthplace.
How did you get to that?
Okay, I went to tree, and then I chose fan chart, and then I chose birth country.
Okay.
Okay. I can also look and see which lines have been well researched. If they have a lot of sources attached to them, I can be pretty sure they've been well researched. Over here, Catherine Ann Van Dyke, gee, does she have any sources at all? That tends to suggest that I really didn't know a whole lot about her, doesn't it? Stories is a fun one. If you want to know which ancestor has had people take the time to tell stories about them, you can see which lines I've had the most stories on. You can tell that my mother has more stories than my father. Which one has the most photos and memories that have been put in? Which ones need ordinances? These are the family members that have ancestors that have ordinances of some kind that still need to be done. Here it is trying to tell me something about my baby daughter. She does not really need any ordinances done. She does not need to be sealed to me. She was born in the covenant, but nonetheless, that's probably why she's yellow. But these other people are people who need ordinances done. If I move this over again, I can see that if it was blue, it would be that they were in progress. Oh, it says I can't request my baby daughter to be sealed to me. So, but nonetheless, this can give us a lot of ideas about where we might want to do research next. And research helps is a good one to look at. This is what the computer has figured out, and this might or might not be accurate, that either some information was incorrectly entered if it's a data problem, or that the computer algorithms think that they have found places where my ancestor might show up in records, or maybe there's suggestions, the places that they think I might be able to find what I need in order to go forward on that line. So that is a real helpful view, is that research help view. Once I have found, I'm going to go back up to this one. Once I have found a person on my family tree, and I think this time we'll just go to my grandmother. So I can click on her name, and when I get her name, I get her index card. And her index card is going to be some basic things about her. If I click on her name, I'm going to get her page. I just thought of something else I want to show you that shows up on the landscape view. So I'm going to go back to the landscape view. When you look at the pedigree chart, it's going to say down here, I think I'll go back to my grandmother. It's going to say down here that she has who her children are. And I'm going to be able to click that quickly and see who her children are. I can click on this and I can find out that she is only one spouse of my grandfather. She was the first spouse and she died in 1921, and then he remarried. And so I have a step grandmother. So I can see multiple spouses and all of the children from the pedigree chart. And that's really a nice thing that they added to the pedigree chart. That's something our paper pedigree charts never did for us. Okay, so now if I go to her index card and click on her name, then I can get to her page. And so this is the page that is about her. Now let's see if I can figure out how to get this back up to up here. Yeah. So when this tells me several things about her, it lets me look at her tree. It lets me put it, turn that star black, and it lets me view my relationship. And sometimes somebody, you think they're in their family, but you forget how you're related. Well, this is going to help you figure out real quickly how you're related. Then underneath this red line, it is going to give us a space where we could put, instead of having it go really, really, really long, we have a section that has details, a section that has timelines, which is going to tell important things in her life, a section that is going to list sources, places where I or others have found her in records. And, you know, sometimes this is going to be interesting. It's going to tell me, for example, that somebody with this information made changes to her, found her in a census, and they found the census in 2014. Well, I might want to write her an email and say, how are we related? And I can do that by clicking on that name and then choose send a message. So that's nice to have. If we had questions about this person and somebody, you know, like we already discussed, collaborate is where we would put that information. Memories are people that have added photos, stories, and documents about her. And then ordinances is what if her temple work has already been done. Details has life sketch, and a lot of life sketches have never been written. And the church would like us to write life sketches that tell the answers to research problems. So my grandma didn't have any research problems, but my grandfather has more descendants that are not from this wife than are from this wife. So I wanted all the other of her grandchildren, of grandpa's grandchildren, to remember her. So I wrote a little bit life sketch about her. And one of the things I wrote was how happy they were. Because I want my cousins to know that grandpa was happy, in addition to being married to their grandmother. Here are their vitals, and you can hide those vitals if you want by clicking on that triangle. But here's where I'd list her birth information and other information about her. And here is a place you can list other information. So you can click here to add other information. You might want to put something about political upheaval in Cuba at the time that they were born, or what Indian tribe they're from, or whether or not they served in the military and for how long. That information can be put under add information. Then comes family members. And so right here is kind of a miniature family group sheet of my grandma and grandpa and their children. And here is the family group sheet of my grandmother as a child. And so that information is there. Now, if I go back up further to the top of the page, I can go to this place that says print, and I can say that I want to print her family group sheet. And there is her family group sheet, like the old-fashioned family group sheets that we used to use. And this is going to show with temple work, and it's going to have all of the information in an easy to find condensed place. And for those of us that are old and are still used to using paper copies, we might want to print out all of these family group sheets and put them in a binder. So that is something that we're going to want to use. Here are tools that we use. For example, if somebody made a lot of changes, and we weren't sure that they had made the right changes, we could check here under tools and be able to sort through those kinds of things. I just mentioned that because we discussed that earlier in the day. So the part of this page that researchers are going to use the most is the page called details. If we're just looking at interesting things, we're going to look at the other set. If we're interested in memories and stories, we're going to check there. If we're interested in how people discovered this information, we're going to want to click on sources. So that is the page that is going to give us a lot of information. Now I want to go back to the tree and talk about one other thing that will not apply to all of us, but it will apply to some of us, and we should know enough about it that we can help other people. I'm going to try to get it enlarged a little bit. My granddaughter called me the other day. Alice had this same experience with her sister-in-law. Both of those people had just gotten their first FamilySearch account, and they were so excited and could hardly wait to see their family group, to see their pedigree chart and to find out about their family. And they opened up the tree and nobody was here except them. Why was that? That is because everybody in the next generation up was alive. And so the live people didn't show up because FamilySearch has a policy that if you are alive, your information is not shared. So what my granddaughter had to do was she had to, and I don't know if I could, I didn't practice pulling her up. I don't know if I could pull her up. No, I can't. I don't even have her dad listed here because I've never added everybody living in this corner over here. I've never added everybody living. But so her father and her mother are both alive. So what does she do? She goes to where her own self is and to her own page. And then she goes down to, I have to go to details. And she goes clear down to the bottom of that page. And so she was the only one listed here. So she had to click over here on the words add parent and type in her father and her mother. And then she had to go to her father's information then and click where it said for him, add parent. And we were both alive, so she could type in our information, but then she had to go to their parents and say, add parent. And then as she chose add parent, it gave her the choice of, well, I could tell her my ID number, so she could just type in my ID number, or she could have said that she wanted to find me. And if you fill out this information and you're finding it, then it is going to look in the computer to find somebody with that name already. And so she would have found my name and could have added it. And then when she found my name, it would have showed all of the pedigree chart from me back. And when she added her grandpa's information, it would have shown all of the information from him back. So when we have living people, in order to maintain their privacy, we have to add that information. Now, when she added me, the computer gave me a different computer number than I have for my computer number. I didn't really show you computer numbers. The computer, when you set up a person, it assigns a number like this that has 4 letters or numbers and a dash and then 3 more. And that is how the computer keeps track of me. I am the only person in FamilySearch of the millions of people in FamilySearch. I'm the only one with that set of numbers. Although there could be other Nancy K. Everetts with my birthday, but only me would have this number. So when I have this number, she has a different number for me than I have. My sister Alice has a different number for me than I have, which means that Alice had to put in all the information about me herself. And Aurora had to put in all the information about me herself. Now the church has assigned programmers to figure out how, if I say, okay, she's my granddaughter, she doesn't have to re-input it. And oh, she's my sister, she doesn't have to re-input it, so that we can share living information. But they haven't figured out how to do it yet. But they've got people assigned to do it. And when they finish the figuring it out, then we won't have to do that. But for the time being, we need to know that as we help people. Another group of people that we will have to show how to add somebody living to is newlyweds. If somebody in our ward is a newlywed and they come to our ward and they ask for help, or they come to a family history class and they ask for help, we have to show them how to add the living people. And so that is something that we need to know. I wanted to tell you a little bit about resolving problems. One of the things that we did back here was when we looked under any of the pedigree charts, we will see people who have a red exclamation point. And that red exclamation point means that there is something about the way this person is listed that the computer doesn't like. I clicked on Malvina's and it says it doesn't like the way her birth is listed. It says because she's marked as a stillborn, but she lived for more than 1 year. She did not live for more than 1 year. So I need to go back and fix that. I think maybe I would rather find a different example to show you how to resolve that. Here's Samuel Carson Johnson. Let's look and see what his red marks are. It says he has a red mark by his picture. Let's look at his picture. It says that it would like me to tag that picture and show that it is in fact Samuel Carson Johnson, so that they know that not just is this picture of somebody in Samuel Carson's page or somebody's interested to, but that it is actually him. So if I click on yes, that's Samuel Carson, and save him, that red exclamation point is going to go away. Another time when it has red exclamation points is if we have entered the place strangely. Yes, Sister Reyes. Oh, were you trying that?
That was my daughter playing with my hand, sorry.
Okay. For example, if somebody's death place was listed as Kirkville Cemetery, he probably didn't die in the Kirkville Cemetery. So they want me to list his death place as Kirkville, Adair County, Missouri. And if I change it, his death place from Kirkville Cemetery to Kirkville, Adair County, Missouri, then that exclamation point's going to go away. So that's going to make it easier for other people to refer to it. I think that one of the biggest places where I have exclamation points is where I have listed the cemetery under burial. So our records will be easier for other people to understand if, when we have the chance to worry about an exclamation point, that we do. Now, there are times in our family history. Now I need to move this thing out of the way. There are times in our family history when we just have a problem that we can't figure out. One time I had a problem I couldn't figure out when all of a sudden my Uncle Paul was listed as dead. And I had been to visit him just a few weeks before. I knew he wasn't dead. So if I go to this question mark, which is the help center, and then, or a help, and then under the help, I click on help center, then it gives me the options of things I can do. One of the things I can do is contact them and ask a question. And if I contact them and ask a question, like I asked the question, my Uncle Paul has been listed as deceased and he's not, then, and even more complex problems than that, then they will assign a missionary from church headquarters to research that problem and solve it. My friend, Buddy Richards, did not have his grandmother shown. It had his grandmother's sister shown under his grandmother's portrait. And because his grandmother's the wife to an apostle, they didn't let anybody that wanted to make changes to the pages. So he couldn't just change the picture of his grandmother. And so what did he have to do? He had to contact me and write a missionary and say to them, as the grandson of this person, I know that this is not my grandmother. These other pictures are of my grandmother. Would you please change it? And then they changed it. But sometimes we just need help in resolving an issue. And that is how we would do it. Okay, now I have talked a lot about getting started with FamilySearch. What have I not told you about how to get started with FamilySearch? Do you have any questions that you would like to ask me about this?
I was just going to ask, okay, so just to clarify, if I'm missing any information if they're living, I need to input it myself. But
Yes.
once I get to a point where the ancestor is deceased, I can look up and see if they're already in, because I do know I have a relative that's done a lot of work on one line of my family, and I would love to connect to it and not have to duplicate everything.
Well, we want you to connect with it and not duplicate everything.
Yes.
Okay.
So how do I do that?
Well, and maybe I want to get more specific information. If we click to family tree, we've looked at the tree and we've looked at the information about people. We haven't talked about find. If we click on the tree, if we click on the word find, and we put in the name of somebody that related to us or not, that's in the tree, and fill out this information, then it will find them for us. Now we need to not get confused. Find is different than search. In search, we search in records. In find, we look for that person that's already in the tree, one of the millions of people that's already in the tree. So if the person that you're trying, do you know the name of the person you're trying to connect to? Or that they might have done research on? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Yeah, go ahead and put in George Curley.
Curley?
Yeah, Curley.
Okay, do you happen, and he's a male. Do you happen to know his birth date or place?
Not place, but birthday is May 5th. And I'm guessing 1912.
Okay. Do you know his spouse?
Yes, Agatha. Her maiden name is Hubble. Do we work in maiden names in
Yes.
FamilySearch?
Yes. Is Hubble her maiden name?
Yes.
Okay, and her first name was Agatha?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and now we say search. And
yeah, that top one looks. So
okay.
like the top and the second, is that someone else maybe just had inputted?
It looks like she's probably been put in twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like he has been put in twice. Okay, so
But
what
the
I
top-
always do is I always keep a pencil and a piece of paper when I'm working in FamilySearch, because it's amazing how often I need it. So the top George Curley has a lot of information about him. The second George Curley only has a little bit of information about him. So I'm going to look up the first one, but I'm also going to write down the number of the second one. And so his computer number is LIZ. It is L1Z5 TBH. So I'm going to write that down. And so now I'm going to click on him, and it's going to show me his index card. And then I'm going to click on it again, and it's going to take me to his person page. And it is going to, if I go to details, it is going to give me information about him. And it's going to give me words, name, sub abbreviations, whatever they used as their name when they joined FamilySearch, of people that have added information about him.
Okay, would you look at the ordinances and tell me, is green that it's been done or it needs to be done?
It says that he has not been sealed to his parents.
Oh, okay.
Because permission is required from the nearest living relative.
Oh, okay.
But the other has been done. So does he have children still living?
Yes, he does.
Okay, so you're going to want to talk with them in order to get information about, in order to get him sealed to his parents. And his parents' names are written here. My guess is that those are his Navajo names.
Uh-huh, yeah. So
Okay.
that's my maternal grandfather. So my mother is still alive. Can she
And
give
which of these is your mother?
Delphine? Where is she?
Is she further down?
No,
No,
those
she's
like
still
siblings.
alive.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
on-
She's not showing because she's still alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah. Oof, there's
So because your mother is related to him as a child or a spouse, she can give you permission to do his temple, to seal him to his parents.
okay, really quick, just to understand, like on the left, I see children 1, Thomas Curley. And then on the right, there's 9 children.
Okay, George has one child named Thomas that is
Okay.
deceased.
Oh, and then on the right, that's his grandparents. He's
And
one
then
of
this is the
those.
grandparents and their children. And they
Okay,
have
so
9
they're his
children.
siblings.
They have 9 children that are deceased.
Okay.
Click
Now,
on the,
if you had looked him up straight through your pedigree chart, then and you had already added your mother, then your mother would also show there.
Okay, and no other children are there
Related.
because they're still alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
click on the family tree and you may go back a long ways.
My guess is because it's Navajo, it doesn't go back a long ways. Most Navajos do not go back past the long walk, but maybe so. And so we could do this, just what is being suggested. We could view George's pedigree chart by clicking on his family tree, and we can see, oh my goodness, there's more information about George there than I knew. It goes back to this person who was born in 1855, which was before the Long Walk. So your family has already done that much research.
Keep clicking.
Now, Sister Reyes, we didn't really answer your question, because the question was, if somebody that you're not related to is doing work, can you see what they're doing? And you can, because this is your line. You can add your mother who is living, and that will help you connect to your grandfather. So you can do that without needing to collect to whichever relative did this work already. But if that wasn't the case, you could collect and see this much. I am very interested that this is a Hubble. I have a Navajo friend who is related to one of the Hubbles from the Hubble Trading Post. So
So how do I easily pull that into my tree?
okay. I can't look up you because you're alive. But I still can connect you this way. Thomas is your mother's brother? No, Thomas is your uncle.
If she's asking how she can pull it in, she doesn't have to pull it in because it will already be there. When she logs in as herself,
If her mother is listed, if she adds her mother to her pedigree chart, then it will pull in all of these. If she doesn't add her mother, she can still do it by going to George Curley. And which of George Curley's children are you related to?
Delphine.
Okay, so you can say add child and add her. And is that your mother?
Sorry, I was looking at my tree to see if I did see it. That's my mother's mother, Agatha.
Okay, so you can put in Delphine and fill in this information about her. And I won't be able to see it because she's living, but you'll be able to see it. That's
Right.
this living rule we've talked about. Then you pull up your mother, you pull it up again and add your mother, which you might have already added to your pedigree chart.
Okay.
But so you do this either by adding, you either do it by starting with you and adding the living people until you connect to the deceased one, or else you can start with the deceased one and go backwards adding living people.
Okay.
But either way, you can add living people and get through to them.
And if you add somebody on your own tree, as you add them into your own tree, if you run into another tree, that the logarithm here in FamilySearch will pick that tree up and
Okay.
and take you on forever maybe.
that well. And so how we do that is we wrote down George Curley's second computer number. And here on his page, it says possible duplicates, because there's somebody else that looks like to the computers, to the computer algorithms, like it's the same person. So if we click on this, it's going to show us 2 George Curleys. It is going to say that this George Curley with all of this information has this computer number, and this George Curley that does not have as much information has this computer, oh, here it is, this computer number. And we can do review merge. And I don't want to do this because I don't want to be fiddling with your family's information. I would rather that you did this as soon as the class is over and did this. But what this says is that there are 2 people with the same information about George Curley. And so we want to mesh them together. We want to hook them together. And so we are going to say that we want, where it says surviving person, that's the one that we want that has the best information. And it is going to be this number. Then the second time somebody else entered his name, they entered him without nearly as much information. And so this half of the screen is the entry, the page number, and the information number of the person without as much information. So we are going to want to make sure that the one that says surviving person is the person that has the good information. Then we're going to click yes, continue. And then we're going to do a recheck of making sure that all of the information is correct and that they really are the right person. And we're going to check the children and check the spouses and go clear to the bottom. And then at the very bottom, it's going to give us the chance to continue. And I'm not going to choose that since I'm not you and I don't want to be, I want you to be taking care of your family. And so I click continue and it'll say, are you sure that this is the same person? And you say yes. And then George is only entered in the computer once. And up here, it gave us the option of if this was a better death date on this side than we had on this side, we could click here and put replace. And then it would move the better date over to the surviving side. But that's all they knew was that he was dead. That's not a better date. So we don't want to do that. But that is how we deal with when somebody gets entered in twice. And all of us will have family that gets entered in twice. My husband is reminding me that it's after 8, and I said I wanted to show you these new things at the end, that I had 3 new things I wanted to show you. So does anybody else have any questions before I get to the 3 new things?
So just real quick before we're wrapping up, where can we go if we want to get more information, more training, more assistance?
Than what I've given you tonight?
Yeah, you're great. Don't get me wrong.
Okay,
but
so you can go to the help center up here and type in a question and they'll answer it for you. You can look up the website called Family History Guide and go to the section in Family History Guide about FamilySearch, and it will help you. Or you can call me on the phone and we'll work on just your problem specific. I would say come to the Family History Center if we were open, but church rules are that until COVID is in better shape, we are closed. But if you call me, particularly in the middle of most days or in the evenings, I'd be glad to walk through it with you. And I bet
Zoom, Nancy, too. You could even Zoom together if you wanted to.
I have a Zoom account. I could Zoom with you, and you could, and if you have a Zoom account, you could share your screen and we could look at it both. Or as long as I can look up, as long as it's not a living person, I can use the find thing and look up the same person as you're looking at, and we can both look at them. I think that it's very possible too that other consultants in our stake would be glad to help you. Diane Ekremenko and Diane and John, each of us our consultants and our stake would be glad to help you. So do you have information on how to call me? Do you have a pencil? Okay, 801-960-5314.
Thank you very much.
And you could also send a message through Provo Freedom Family History Center Facebook page, and one of us would answer you and work with you on it.
Thank you.
That's how we're working through COVID. Okay, so 3 new things. If you go to YouTube and look up Road to Roots Tech, and there's lots of them that you'd find. And so you want the one that has the screen that looks like this, because this is the screen for 2021. And I think that frequently between now and Roots Tech, which is FamilySearch's humongous genealogy conference, and this year it's even going to be more humongous because it is online, and which means that most of the classes you can watch live or later offline, and it's going to be in 10 languages. I don't think Navajo. So if we follow, this was episode 1 of Road to Roots Tech, and if we follow that on YouTube, we'll be able to stay up to date with hints and clues and information about how to make Roots Tech valuable to us this year. I also, I must have taken it off, but maybe I can show you it by going to my email. Phase 3 temple opening is something that the church is getting ready to do so that when they can reopen the temples, they're ready. Have you noticed that the gardens at the Provo City Center Temple are now open? Yay, okay. The main thing that we need to know about when phase 3 opens is that we cannot do work for anybody unless we take the card ourselves. So we have to be able to take the card ourselves. If we don't have one, very likely friends in our ward will have some, but even more so, we can go back to Temple when we look up on FamilySearch, we can go under Temple and we can go to the thing that says Ordinances Ready. And if we click on Ordinances Ready and then choose which ordinance we want to do. So like, say I wanted to do initiatory. If I clicked on initiatory, it is going to go through and try to find me 5 names that somebody in my family has already submitted, but didn't have time to get the initiatory done for them. And then I can print up those cards so that when I have a chance to go to the temple, I can take my own cards. And I should know that when I take my own cards, they're not going to give them back to me. They are going to keep them. And this is part of modern times. That's already been a case at the Provo City Center Temple, but it's going to be that way now in all temples, that we cannot take a card home with us. So that means if we do go into the baptisms one day, the next time we go, we have to reprint the cards for the next ordinance. But isn't it exciting that the church is already planning how they're going to make it work when they open up to the 3rd thing. The next is.
There was ordinance.
Yes.
Where I didn't notice where it was, how to get to it.
I go to anybody's page or my sign-in page or anywhere, as long as it's under my account in FamilySearch. And here's this bar that has the words FamilySearch, Family Tree, Search, Memories, Indexing, Activities, and Temple. I click on that temple, and I can access from that thing everybody that I have names that I've already cleared their names for temple work for. Now, I was working real hard just before COVID to get all of those cards finished. So I don't have very many that I already have reserved for me, but I have a few. But if I wanted to do initiatory and I didn't have any of those of my own initiatory, then I would click on the word ordinance is ready. And that's when it would take me to this page.
And are these people
These
that
are
are,
relatives that I remembered, but it's relatives that some of my relatives have done that have prepared for temple work.
okay. So
And then
these
they
are all
said,
ordinances
darn it, I
written-
don't have time to get to the temple. So then now the temple, the computer can figure out this part. Okay, now the next thing I wanted to show you was, and it looks like I unconnected that tab at some place, but it's the word. This is what you type on the line in the URL line in the computer is ancestors.familysearch.org. And if you click on that, and it's going to say, find your ancestor. And this is difficult for me because you have to know your alphabet. And so I would have to say that I was looking for my ancestor. I could say E, Everett. And then I would go down all these possible things in the alphabet until I found Everett, E-V-E-R. It would probably be in this section. Then I would go to all of these names. My dad's name is an E, so I would have to choose Everett Mark. So I'd click on that line. Then it would give me, I still have to choose more. Everett, there. Now it's going to give me the list of my ancestors. So I can go down and they've got the commas in the wrong place. You just have to know that. But I could go down here and, gee, Mark is farther down than that. Does that mean that I clicked too early? Probably means I clicked too early on the earlier line. So just because it's already past time, I'm going to click on this one. This is going to take one of the people that's on my family group sheet, and it's really the same exact information that's on their page, except it's organized in a way that is more interesting for somebody that is not, that doesn't know this person. And so it is going to use a computer generated story about its life. It's going to tell me that in this case, there's no pictures, but it's going to do the family group sheet information. It's going to do a timeline. And then it's going to do this section about traditional dress, which is going to give me a chance of choosing the way that people in his time, place, and time, location and time, place, and I can choose, and I can use the camera that's built into my computer, and I can choose it, and I can take that picture of me, and suddenly that picture of me will show up in their picture. Oh, I have to say cheese, and it says something went wrong. But that is a great fun way to introduce to somebody about their relative, or if you have a relative you don't know much about yet.
How did you get there?
How do you get that? You go to the separate web page, and it's called ancestors.familysearch.org.
Okay, it's not ancestry.
But it's not ancestry, it's ancestors. Dot. And so that is fun. That is fun to
Thank you.
to play with. It would be especially fun if somebody said, oh, you know, somebody wasn't really interested in their family history, but you wanted to get them started to be interested. That would be a good sheet to pull up. Okay. Next week's lesson is a special class taught by Diane titled what?
On Ancestry.com, making the most out of Ancestry.
How to get the most out of Ancestry.com. Something we should know is that The weaknesses from the FamilySearch website are the strengths of the Ancestry website. And every member of it costs to join Ancestry. I don't know how much it is, like $12 or $15 a month, unless you're a member of the church, and then it's free. Because Ancestry and the church are friends. And so this year, sometimes they haven't been, but right now. So one of the things Diane will probably talk about is how members of the church can get their free account at Ancestry.
Actually, Nancy, I need them to have their account before they come. So if you don't have one, then let me know.
Well, Diane, could we do this? Could we say that if your class starts at 7, that at 6 we have a class on how to get your account?
30 maybe.
6.
Or
Well, it depends on who teaches it. If somebody besides you teaches it, they wouldn't need to overlap that way.
in the email that I sent to our stake, I told them how to do it, I think. Yeah, maybe 6:30. I could be available. I'm just concerned because sometimes problems arise at the last minute, and it'd be
Well, I'm thinking maybe we should do it Wednesday night. I think what we should do is ask our publicity gal, who is Heather Topham, if she will put whatever answer we decide on the Freedom Family History Center Facebook page, so that anybody that's interested can contact us. Is that a good answer?
Yes.
Okay. Because this is important. Then the next lesson, which will be the first week in February, will be, no. Okay, the first week, that'll be the 31st. The first week in February, the topic in our lesson will be, how do we search records in FamilySearch? So that will also be at 7 o'clock. And if you have particular things that you're interested in finding out, why don't you either text me at that phone number, or else put it on Provo Freedom Family History Center Facebook page and ask, so that we can.
Where do we find that?
We can try to look for people who are, it's more interesting for you if we look for your family than if we look for my family.
What was your phone number again?
801-960-5314.
Thank you.
And so it would probably be helpful to me, just personally, if you would try to text me prior to Friday, because I'm going on vacation on Friday. So I will be attending Diane's class next week by Zoom. Isn't that nice? I can go on vacation. What?
Where are you going?
My son said, "You're getting cabin fever, come visit us." And so he said he would take time off work so we could vacation. So we're probably going to spend a day at Zion National Park, and we haven't decided what all else yet. So, but we're leaving Friday noon, as soon as my husband gets his second dose of vaccine. Sister Reyes, would you please say our closing prayer?
Yes, I would. I did have a really quick question.
Oh, good. Maybe we should do that first.
Just on the Ancestry one, could I maybe try to figure out how to sign up for an account, or is it really that complicated?
It's not that complicated.
Oh, for Ancestry?
The only time it's complicated is if you already had an Ancestry account in the past.
Nancy,
And now you want the free one.
can you just really quickly just show her under help how to get there? I mean, it will only take like 5 seconds.
Here is the help button on FamilySearch.
Click on Help Center.
So now I have
down here at the bottom, where it says
Help Center. Click on Help Center.
Okay.
Then scroll down and click on partners. Click on partners
Partners where the hands join, click on partners,
and click on partner access.
partner access.
Scroll down.
Now scroll down and it's going to say, whoops.
If you're logged into FamilySearch, it's really easy from this point. You just need to
Then
be
it
logged
says
in.
join for free.
Okay.
And you click on join for free. These are all different ways to do different companies that have family history that charge, that let church members join for free. So that's how you do it.
Okay. Thank you.
And would be glad, and if you have questions with that, let us know through either the phone numbers or from Provo Family History Center on Facebook.
Nancy,
Yes.
can you get, if you aren't a member of the church, but you do have a FamilySearch?
You can't get it for free unless you're a member of the church.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, your poor sister-in-law is going to have to pay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So any more questions before we have the prayer? Okay. Now